you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't recorded in a little while. It's been
I know.
maybe I don't know, 2 weeks because
I think it's been 2 weeks.
yeah,
We
we've
didn't
had
record
some
last
stuff
week at all.
prepped, and so now I feel all awkward. I feel like I've
I
forgotten
know.
how to do this. Oh my goodness.
I know. I am sorry in advance if my audio quality is kind of shit because I'm back out in my dining room because the water is back.
Oh, maybe
where my
that's
desk
why you're
was.
more quiet, because you're definitely quiet right
Yeah.
now. Maybe it's because
because because it's just literally a big open room, like my dining room and my living room and my kitchen.
Yeah.
It's like open concept.
Yeah.
So
Classic. Love that.
So it's pretty echoey. I have soundproofing, but kind of useless in such a big room.
Yeah, it doesn't really help.
And I'm trying, my fridge, makes random, sad noises. I don't know how to explain it. It'll just be like, and it's, brand new, so I don't know why it does that, but, just sometimes. So if you hear electronic crying, it's my fridge.
All right, well, I think maybe we'll just pop right into it.
No, we won't.
No, we won't. Oh my god, who are we?
Who are we?
We're your
ma'am.
God damn. See, it's been so long I forgot how to do this.
I mean, not like we remember even on a good day.
That's true. Even in the throes of our many recorded episodes, we were terrible at this. But yeah, we're your hags. Hi.
Silence of the Hags.
Silence of the Hags.
Wahoo.
Follow us on...
We're at the end.
Okay, just kidding. Don't follow us yet.
Not yet.
That will come later, team. So I think that this is episode...
It is episode 11.
Holy cow. Oh my god, this is our
hell?
last episode before Halloween.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, this is so exciting.
Yes. Happy early Halloween.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take a minute, I think, before we really dive into it. Because I think technically this is the end of our first season here.
Oh my god, it is.
And I just want to say thank you guys so fucking much. The amount of support we've had and wonderful feedback and constructive criticism we've had is just overwhelming. And I feel really, really grateful and blessed for you guys. And, Dani and I, we're just doing this because we want to have fun, and we want to put a little smile on your guys' face and talk about a little bit of murder, a little bit of spooky shit. And, it sounds like we've been doing just that. So thank you guys so much. This has been awesome.
I will say, though, this might be controversial and I don't really care. I am so fucking happy to be done with conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah. No. That's not controversial.
This was fun.
Yeah.
But dear God, am I happy that it's fucking over, because
it's just so hard with conspiracy theories. We've gotten some feedback that we kind of jump around a little bit, and as we're explaining things, we're kind of saying no, I don't believe this as we go, which kind of takes you guys out of it, which I think is totally fair. But it's just so hard to have a concrete story with these things that I just.
And the thing is too is it's not like you have, when you're researching conspiracy theories, it's not like you have one source that says this is what it is. You have one source that says this is the basic idea, and then there's this branch and this branch and this branch and this branch, and then this person on this blog said this, and it's so confusing. But then also when you are researching these, the amount of people that just post debunked articles
my god
is
and it's you just spent the last hour and a half fucking looking into this arm of the conspiracy, and then you come across an article, and it's this is actually not real, and it's well, fucking Jesus Christ.
I actually have it's not a theory. I mean, maybe it is a theory, but it's a weird little thing about what we're doing today. So today, for those of you who don't know, I don't know why you would know because we haven't said it yet.
Yes.
We're talking about the FEMA death camp conspiracy.
Ooh.
So the first time I looked this up, there was so much information. And then when I started to do research again, I only could, I shit you not, I could only find articles about why this theory is false. That's all I could find. I couldn't find any of the articles that I had read before. I could only find ones that were just well, this is why it's false. And I was I had so many articles before that I was reading, and so many blog posts and everything about people's experiences with this.
Yeah.
And now they're all gone.
Classic.
So that was great.
Yeah, that's
but I did manage to find enough to make this a pretty fucking long one, I think.
Honestly, good. I'm excited. I don't know if it's impolite to say I'm excited, but I'm excited. I'm really interested in this, and I can't wait to hear what you have for me, to be honest with you.
So this is a very frustrating one to read.
Fair.
And then it was even more frustrating
To research.
And then after I did, like, I would say I was like 80% done.
Oh God, I know. I can't. Oh, it was so sad.
And then I deleted everything.
Tell everyone how. How did you delete it? Why?
So I am a pen and paper kind of gal. I really like writing on paper. Maybe it's the ADD in me, but I have a really hard time reading on like
a screen.
Like I just have a really hard time when there's like no lines, there's no like marks in the paper that help me like find my spot when I've like looked away. Yeah. It's too clean and it makes it very hard for me to read. I don't know why. That's the best I can explain it. So I was like,
well, it doesn't really give you anything to like follow the line to.
Exactly.
Right? So it's easy
that's
for
what I was like
to
saying to Nico. I was like, when I'm reading a book, like sometimes there's like a weird mark on the page or there's like a tear. And then he's like, yes. And I was like, and that's how I find my spot. He's like, I have never heard that before. And I was like, okay, you know what? It's hard. Reading is hard for me. Okay.
Oh, you poor girl.
But then I was like, the world is dying. I should maybe do my part to not write on paper because I'm writing like 10 pages of notes. I've only done what? We're on episode 11. I think I've only done 3 full episodes now. And half my notebook is already full.
Yeah, that's only 3. This will be your 4th.
Yeah. So half my notebook was already full just from 3 episodes. So I was like, you know what? I'll write it on my iPad. It'll be fine.
Honestly,
it's not fine. It was not fine.
Not good.
And it wasn't even like, because then everybody's like, just go to your recently deleted folder. No, I didn't delete the file. I deleted the fucking text. The words. I deleted the words. Yeah. That was the problem. And then I couldn't undo what I had done.
I was going to say, and even on, like on a computer, right, you can like Control Z or whatever to undo it, but not on the fucking iPad. Yeah. You can't.
Maybe there is a way, and I just don't really know how to use my iPad. My iPad is used solely for Netflix and Procreate.
Honestly, I'm really bad with technology and computers. I always need to tell my brother, not tell him. I always need to ask him how to do things. When I got my laptop, he had to show me how to use it because it's not for me. And Dani always asks me how to do things. So as a team, we know about 1% about computers.
Yes.
And that's it. And that's combined.
I know. Even so, because I got the big Mac computer, I like bought myself it, and I was having a really hard time. But I've never had like a desktop computer. I've only ever had laptops. Yeah. But I was having a really hard time like typing things, and I was like, am I just like fucking dumb? I don't like what the hell is up with this keyboard? I was like, I must just be like an absolute idiot, and I've just never had like a desktop computer, so that's why this is so hard for me. And I genuinely was at the computer for like 4 hours and was like, I don't understand. Like I can't find the question mark on the keyboard. I was like, I don't get it.
Oh my God.
And then Nico came home from work, and I was like, I was at my desk, and I was like, I don't understand. I was like throwing a fit. I was like, this is so confusing. Like, I'm so confused. I don't understand how to like work the keyboard. The things I want aren't coming on the screen when I press them. Yeah, they sent me a French keyboard.
Oh,
and I didn't know.
Oh my God.
I had no idea. The accents on all the letters didn't tip me off at all. Okay. And Nico was like, he like came in and he was like looking at my keyboard and he's like, that's not an English keyboard. And I was like, what? He's like, that's not English. I think it's French.
Oh my God.
So okay. I was struggling for like a good 5 hours with this keyboard just to discover that it wasn't even a freaking English keyboard. And I'm sitting here blaming the whole goddamn thing on me, thinking that I just don't know how to use a desktop keyboard.
That's not your fault. Jesus. Oh my God. I'd be so mad.
Well, they sent me a new one.
Oh, okay.
And told me I could keep the French one.
You're keeping it?
So
just for when you like, want to frustrate yourself?
Yeah. If I ever want to maybe learn to type French.
Sure.
Not speak it, just type it.
No, yeah, I totally support it.
All right. Well.
Okay. Now we're gonna stupidity aside.
Now we're gonna jump into it.
Yeah. Tell me about FEMA death camps. This is.
Yes.
Do we have to do any like sadness warnings?
No sadness warnings. I am gonna give you. I mean, this might be boring for some people, so I'll give you a bore warning.
Really?
Warning. Yeah. So, because there's a lot of things when I was reading this, a lot of it pertains to the states.
Okay.
So the theory is based solely, basically, in the states.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things in here that I had no idea what the hell they were. So I got to dive into a little bit of history and a little bit about what these terms are, which might be boring for some of you, but I found it very interesting. And I will say, after reading about all this, I am much more scared of martial law than I am of FEMA death camps.
Yeah,
because martial law sounds fucking terrifying.
Yeah, martial law, not gonna lie, not a cute look.
No.
Not a cute look.
All right, but yeah. So we'll start off with like the basic idea of what the conspiracy is, just so you know before we start going through all the other stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, the FEMA camps conspiracy claims that the United States Federal Emergency Management Agency, also known as FEMA, is planning to imprison U.S. citizens in concentration camps. This is typically described as following the imposition of martial law in the United States after a major disaster crisis. More extreme versions of this conspiracy theory, large numbers of U.S. citizens will be imprisoned for the purpose of extermination as a new world order is established. The theory has existed, so this FEMA conspiracy theory has been around since the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but the theory kind of fizzled away in the early 2000s when people were kind of more worried about international terrorism than they were about like their own government betraying them. But now that, you know, people are worried about their government betraying them once again, and social media, of course, this is why the theories come back. There's also another reason why I think the theories come back that nobody else mentioned, but I'll get into that later.
I can't wait.
So martial law. What is martial law? Because I thought I knew what martial law was, but turns out I had no idea what martial law was. So, martial law is the imposition of direct military control over normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to a temporary emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed or in an occupied territory. This has happened in other countries like Thailand, Pakistan, the Philippines, but it's never been imposed on the United States at a nationwide basis.
Okay.
Emphasis on the nationwide. It has been imposed before.
Okay.
So martial law usually happens during something like a large riot. Just planting that seed. A terrorist attack. Or a large-scale natural disaster.
Okay.
When frightening events like these happen. So I wrote this down, but I don't think... It says many citizens would prefer to give up their rights so they can have the peace of mind that an authoritarian government would offer. I don't know how many. Yeah, I was going to say a lot, like almost all the articles said many. And I was like, I beg to differ, but all right.
I would love to hear the statistics that they made that statement based on that.
Yeah, pretty much any article that like was talking about martial law said like, well, when the government declares martial law, like it's because many citizens like want the peace of mind that like.
Who are these citizens?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
What poll did you make?
Yeah, I know.
What Instagram story, yes or no, did you, like, how did you find that out? So the trouble with this is there have been instances where martial law has gone too far. So let's get into some of the different things that can happen during martial law. Okay. I want to be clear, not all these things do happen like simultaneously, but each one of these things has been known to happen. During martial law. Makes sense. Number one, confiscation of firearms, of course. So one of the first things to occur under martial law is usually the confiscation of firearms, and a civilian with a firearm is deemed a threat. Honestly, not against it.
So the odds of your firearm being taken away are extremely high, which, fair enough.
Yeah, not super against that, not gonna lie.
But I could see why.
But I guess,
America.
Well, I've had conversations in length about stuff like that with people I know, and what tends to be the issue I think for a lot of people is not necessarily like, well, I want a shotgun and now I can't have one. It's the infringement upon the right that you have to have one being taken away.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So number two is curfew, and they do say that curfew under martial law is very strictly enforced, and it is extremely advisable not to break it. Number two, restriction of free speech. So your constitutional rights are actually under void when you're in a martial law situation.
Really?
Yep. There will be people who object to martial law, and those who protest loudly will suffer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So a protester during martial law is likely to be imprisoned or sometimes even shot.
Cute.
Yeah.
Love that.
Then we have forcible removal from property. So depending on the situation, people may be relocated. The military can also decide to set up camp in your home. You can choose to stay on your property, but of course this would be a high risk for anybody because your house would be basically a military camp.
Yeah,
so
that's
you can
scary.
choose to stay there. Probably not a good idea.
Yeah, like maybe don't, but you can, I guess.
So along with your property being taken away from you, they can also confiscate your food supplies, as well as any basic living essentials. So homes are super easy targets.
Oh, that sounds like, that used to happen during wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the time.
I was going to say, soldiers can just come in and be like, hey, me and my 50 friends are hungry. And, the family's like, well, there's only 4 of us and we only have food for the 4 of us. And they're like, well, me and my 50 friends are hungry.
Yep.
Brutal.
Yeah, because houses are super easy targets.
Yeah. Also, to clarify, I don't mean like currently, because I know there's wars going on currently.
Yeah, of course.
In the States, at least.
And you can also be detained or imprisoned at will. So you may be imprisoned by military forces without any notice. They could find you suspicious or threatening, mistake you for somebody else, or any other reason, and they can just imprison you during martial law.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. I think the scariest part for me about martial law is like just the military in general. I'm not saying the military is like bad military, but like American military.
They're scary. They're really intense.
Scary.
Over there.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
You can just like literally like fucking coast your way through high school, then like roll out of bed one morning and be like, yeah, fucking enlist me, bitch. And just
done.
Go.
Well, like, what? It doesn't matter.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That is terrifying to me.
Yeah, it's very scary.
So now we know a little bit about what martial law is and what can happen during martial law. So for those of you who are like, man, martial law doesn't exist, let me give you some examples of times that martial law was used in these states.
Okay.
So it has been used a number of times. These are just a few that I picked. This isn't even all of them. So in New Orleans, martial law was used during the War of 1812. In Chicago, during the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. In San Francisco, following an earthquake of 1906. In Minneapolis, during escalating violence from the Minneapolis General Strike of 1934 after Bloody Friday when police opened fire on picketers.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep.
That sounds
in San Francisco, California, during the dock workers' strike of 1934. This one's my favorite, and I also think planting the seed. In Alabama in 1961, during the Freedom Riders, who were peaceful civil rights activists challenging the illegal racial segregation of the South in 1961.
Interesting.
Planting that seed for later.
Yeah. I can't. That's crazy too, because like 60s and 70s. That's like relatively recently. Like I guess it's that, the 70s is 50 years ago now, but there are people who were born, like my grandma was born in 1950.
So now New World Order, for those of you who don't know what New World Order is,
NWO.
It's actually another conspiracy theory. So this is one of those conspiracy theories that's like inside another conspiracy theory and stems from another conspiracy theory, but it's like its own conspiracy theory now. So New World Order is basically a secretive power elite group of people with a globalist agenda, and they're conspiring to eventually rule the world through an authoritarian government which will replace the southern nation states and all-encompassing propaganda whose ideology has the establishment of New World Order and the accumulation of history's progress. So basically, instead of having multiple countries with multiple governments, it would just be like one world with one government.
That, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So that's what, like, the conspiracy theory is that they think that the government is trying to do this. There's like a secret underground government that's like conspiring to take over the world.
I mean, I wouldn't be super surprised if that was true, but I don't like it.
Yeah. So many influential historical contemporary figures have been alleged to be a part of the cabal that operates through many front organizations to orchestrate significant political and financial events, ranging from causing a systematic crisis to pushing through controversial policy acts seed planted at both national and international levels as steps in an ongoing plot to achieve world domination. Remember those seeds. We've got riots. We've got systematic crisis. Remember the seeds, okay? So now...
Remember the seeds!
Remember the seeds, don't forget them. So now we know what martial law is and New World Order is. Let's go back to FEMA. We're back at FEMA, yes. So, what is FEMA? FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency. It is an agency that is a part of the United States Department of Homeland Security. Initially, it was created under President Jimmy Carter as a presidential reorganization plan, number 3 of 1978, and implemented by 2 executive orders on April 1st of 1979. So it wasn't officially created until 1979. That's when FEMA came to be. So the agency's primary purpose is to coordinate the response to a disaster that has occurred in the United States when it overwhelms the resources of local and state authorities.
Okay.
Plant the seed.
Seed planted.
Seed planted.
Seed received.
Covering with dirt, we're watering it now.
This has a weird connotation now that I've said that. Never mind.
The governor of the state which the disaster occurs in must declare a state of emergency and formally request from the president that FEMA and the federal government respond to the disaster. So FEMA can't just come in, the president can't just come in and do whatever the fuck he wants to do. Your state governor has to request it first. Unless
got some loopholes.
It takes place on federal property or to a federal asset. As an example, the 1995 bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. In that case, the government, the country's government and FEMA can just come in without the state governor needing to call them. They'll just come in because it was on federal property and to a federal building.
Do I love that? No, I do not.
Yes. So now we'll get into a little bit of FEMA's background. I'm not going to dive super deep into it because they do have sus background. There's already a lot of stuff that they've lied about that it's questionable stuff. So FEMA didn't actually start off as FEMA. It's been reshuffled and reorganized more than any other key agency in recent U.S. history.
Oh, really?
Yes. So Harry Truman actually started FEMA's forerunner, which was the Federal Civil Defense Administration in 1950. Over the decades, it migrated regularly between the departments and underwent nearly a dozen name changes before becoming FEMA in the 70s. After the 9/11 attacks, there was yet another organizational reshuffling because they did not handle it well. And people basically were like, FEMA's shit. People were like, this is like a disaster. They're not doing what they're supposed to. It's basically like insurance. The insurance was shit. They didn't clean up everything. They didn't find housing for people, all this stuff. They didn't do what they said they were supposed to be doing.
I see.
Yes. So that is when the agency ended up a part of Homeland Security, was in 2003. So before then, FEMA was not a part of Homeland Security, and now it is.
Interesting.
So initially, FEMA wasn't concerned with civilian natural disasters at all. They were primarily focused on responding to nuclear war.
Okay.
So the evolution first began after a hurricane, a flood, or a tornado came apart, because as it turns out, not a whole lot of fucking nuclear war in America.
Surprise.
Not a lot of it, so kind of useless.
Yeah.
So obviously the equipment and the stockpiles that they had were really useful for hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, all those awful things that seem to happen quite a bit over there.
Yeah.
So FEMA also has a lot of really confusing history involving their funding and where their funding seems to be going, because they are obviously government funded. I'm not going to dive into that. If you guys do want to listen to a good podcast about it, it's just by the podcast, I think it's just called Conspiracy Theories. I think that's just what it's called.
Nice.
It's 2 years old though.
Theories.
Yeah, it's very informative. They go over the full history of FEMA. Of FEMA. They go over the full history of FEMA in a timeline and all their financial stuff. That was just a lot for me, so I'm not doing that.
Fair.
I also don't think it's
super relevant.
it's relevant, but it's not necessary for the theory, you know?
Yeah.
So now we know martial law, we know New World Order, and we know FEMA's history.
Okay.
A little bit about it. So let's go over conspiracy theory once again.
Let's do
Before I
it.
give you my opinion. So, the conspiracy theory in general states. What the fuck is wrong with me? States.
It's okay. We're stupid here at
Disstates.
Silence of the Hags.
States that once a disaster or threat of one comes into being, martial law will be declared, and that FEMA's emergency powers will come into operation and they will effectively become the government. Essentially, the Constitution will be suspended and citizens will be moved into camps. All right?
Okay.
Yes. So because FEMA is on the Department of Homeland Security, they've got a lot of fucking power in the government. More power than most branches of the government have.
Yeah.
So that's why people think that they're going to become the government and all this stuff. So as we said earlier, like extreme versions of the theory say that people are going to be killed in these camps and that it's for population control. So in April of 2014, Snopes posted a claim that FEMA was marking houses by political affiliation to round people up for these camps because I guess the mailman or something was like they were like marking people's mailbox with like different fluorescent colored like tabs.
Oh.
So that was a little sus. And people thought,
What's going on
that,
here?
yeah, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And they connected it to this.
Totally.
So a lot of you are probably wondering where these camps are going to be coming from or that they're not even relevant. So we're going to branch off once again here into the Rex 84 program.
Rex 84?
So, yes.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
Yes, this one's pretty wild. Then we're going to go on. This is a lot of information. Then we're going to be going over a bunch of executive orders that could be relevant to this FEMA theory, or that people believe are relevant, I should say, not could be.
Okay.
So, the plan is called Rex 84, short for the Readiness Exercise 1984.
Ooh.
Through Rex 84, an undisclosed number of concentration camps were set in operation throughout the United States for those who were deemed potentially harmful to the states.
What
So
does
this is
that
an
even
actual
mean?
program. So these,
I mean, like, what
it
is
was-
harmful to the states
So-
even mean?
originally this like program was established on the reasoning that if a mass exodus of illegal aliens to cross the U.S.-Mexican border,
Oh.
they would be rounded up and detained in detention centers by FEMA
Surprise.
quickly and easily. Yeah. So that's what it was originally created for, was for just a bunch of illegal immigrants sprinting across the border all at once. So the existence of the Rex 84 plan was first revealed on the Iran Contra Cortana. What the fuck am I saying?
I don't know.
The Iran-Contra hearings in 1987 and subsequently reported by the Miami Herald on July 5th.
Okay.
This is a quote. So it says, these camps are to be operated by FEMA should martial law need to be implemented in the United States, and all it would take is the president's signature on a proclamation and the attorney general's signature on a warrant to which has a list of names attached. So you do need the names, but then this goes back to the post office theory where people believed that they were being like
Targeted or
registered, I guess, like in like different like parties with these tabs. So that's where they say that they would have gotten the names from.
Okay.
But also, let's take a look at like ICE just as an example. As I know it's like kind of a bad example because that's about illegal immigrants, but they're detaining people without knowing any information about them. And some of these people are genuinely American citizens, but they don't have ID on them and they're just detained.
Yep.
So
I think we could do an entire episode on ICE, to be honest.
Yeah. So yes, they technically need a name, but there are very obviously ways around that.
Well,
and
yeah,
they have already shown that.
there's always things like that where like you need this thing, but do you actually need that thing? It's like on paper, sure, but in practice, how often does it happen?
So many conspiracy theorists believe that the real purpose of FEMA is not only to protect the government, but it's the principal vehicle for martial law. So they don't think that FEMA is actually here for disaster control. They think that they are basically like the driver of the martial law vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, FEMA could not respond immediately to the Hurricane Katrina disaster, and many people believe it's because their humanitarian efforts were no longer a part of their job description under the Department of Homeland Security. So when Hurricane Katrina happened, we all know that was a fucking disaster.
It sure was.
People were not taken care of. People were displaced from their homes, and nobody was really there to help.
Yeah.
They were just basically fucked for how long until shit was fixed. It was a long fucking time. Yeah. The Kardashians went there. We saw that on the show.
Oh my God. Don't even get me.
It was long enough for them to get involved in it.
Yeah.
So it appears that Hurricane Katrina also provided FEMA with an excuse to quote unquote dry run its unconstitutional powers in New Orleans, rounding up refugees, which they later changed and called evacuees, and relocating them into various camps.
Okay.
So former NSA employee Wayne Madsen said that some evacuees were even being treated like interns by FEMA.
Interns?
Yes.
Go get me a coffee?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah. And that was that was what an NSA employee said. So.
What? That's weird.
Yep. So there are over 800 prison camps in the United States that are fully operational and ready to receive prisoners as well. People say that they're staffed and surrounded full-time by guards, but that they're entirely empty. They also obviously saying that these camps are operated by FEMA should martial law need to be implemented in the United States, and all it would take is the signature from the president and a signature from the attorney general and a warrant.
Something tells me it wouldn't be that hard to get that signature right now, but that's just me.
Yep. Also, Rex 84 allows for military bases to be closed down and turned into prisons as well.
So, I knew that.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying, well, if they have these prisons, where are they? Well, they might already have them. They might just not be prisons because that does allow for that. Yeah. So then there's also a list of executive orders that people, these conspiracy theorists, believe are associated with FEMA that could suspend the Bill of Rights. These executive orders have actually been already existing for 30 years, and all it would take is the president signing off on them. There's a lot of them, so I'm sorry in advance. I might cut some of them out. We'll see. Well, I just want to give you all the info.
We'll get there when we get there.
Executive Order number 11004 allows the Housing and Financial Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public signs, designated areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. So that's where that one is related to people believing that they're just going to be like, all right, get the fuck out. We're bringing you here. Yeah. So then we have Executive Order number 10998, which allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind, and total control over highways, seaports, and waterways. Then we have Executive Order number 11000, which allows the government to mobilize civilians to work in brigades under government supervision. Executive Order number 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms.
Okay.
Executive Order number 10997 allows government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. Executive Order number 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communication of the media. Executive Order number 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions.
Yeah. Sounds
Executive Order number 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons, as we talked about earlier, the tags.
Oh, yeah.
Executive Order number 11003 allows the government to take over all airports and aircrafts, including commercial aircraft. Executive Order number 11005 allows the government to take over all railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities.
What?
Executive Order number 11051 specifies the responsibility of the Office Emergency Planning and gives the authorization to put all executive orders into effect in times of increased international tension, economic or financial crisis. Executive Order number 11310 grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plan set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to write legislative liaisons, to control all aliens, to operate correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the president. Oh, that was a lot of talking.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not saying this is a joke. I'm not making light of this, but this sounds like Nazi Germany to me.
Does this also not sound like fucking Handmaid's Tale?
Also Handmaid's Tale. Like, what?
Yes. So you can you can look up these executive orders.
Like they
exist. They fully fucking exist. They exist. That was the first thing I did was I looked them up because I was like, there's no way this is real. And all the president has to do is sign. I'm sure there's more that he has to do than just sign a piece of paper, but like they're already in existence. Yeah. So it would just take them executing the executive order for it to happen. So there's a lot more, but those are just the ones that I felt like prevailed to this whole thing surrounding FEMA. Basically taking away all your rights, all your means of
literally everything,
escaping, all your means of food.
Yeah. Well, it's literally like post-apocalyptic, where every single thing about your life is controlled.
So back to the conspiracy theory. This is my last point. So we already talked about a few of the executive orders that were created in 1979. So it was established to coordinate the response to a major disaster that has occurred in the United States that overwhelms local and state authorities, like we said with FEMA. So that's why those executive orders were created in the first place. Okay. So these were created around the same time as FEMA. FEMA is created to help out, clear the disaster, help the people. But along with FEMA being created, all those executive orders about people losing their rights were created. So you can see maybe why people are connecting the dots with this.
Yeah.
So again, the plan is to assume control of the United States following a major disaster or threat, either a genuine one or a manufactured one. I'm assuming this was a little homage to 9/11. People think it was manufactured.
Yeah.
Yep. So once the disaster or threat of one comes into being, the theory goes, martial law will be declared, FEMA's emergency powers will come into operation, FEMA will effectively be the government, the Constitution will be suspended, and FEMA will move U.S. citizens into specially constructed camps, many of which have already been built. The organization has been described in this context and as the executive arm of the coming police state. Police state. Seed planted. Proponents of the theory often play into racial fears, asserting that FEMA will use urban gangs and auxiliaries to assure order. As we talked about earlier, dissidents, which were described as patriots, rather than left-wingers, will be merely imprisoned and have gone as far to say they'll be sent to death camps. So all of this a part of population control. That's what people are saying.
Jesus.
So from what I understand, the conspiracy surrounding FEMA generally revolves around the pre-existing conspiracies that are under New World Order, which, as we know, is basically totalitarian government, global government.
Sorry, so just to clarify, the people who would be, generally speaking, going to these death camps are illegal aliens?
No, it would be
anyone.
U.S. citizens. Yeah. So there's two different, so some people are saying it's for, like you would be sent to a death camp if you're super patriotic and you're like, no, America's my country and you're not obeying to New World Order.
So you'd be sent there for that?
Yes, because you don't want to obey the lack of rights.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Which I personally, I don't feel that just pertains to patriotic people.
I think that's just for people
I'm not
who
super patriotic. I don't really want a
rights.
gun. I don't have one, but if I did, you could have it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
please take
just
it.
Don't come in my house. I like my house.
Yes. I like my house, and I like to be able to eat the things that I want to eat.
Yeah. So that part, it's for me. Maybe somebody can explain it to me. Like I said, there's just so much information, and it's all by different people, but like, so there's one part of the conspiracy that states that it's going to be like patriotic people who are being sent to these prison camps sorry, let me rephrase this. So part of the conspiracy, from what I understand, that is related to the New World Order belief. So the people who believe that this New World Order is going to happen and there's going to be like a global totalitarian government, that part of the theory states that people who are super patriotic and don't want their guns taken away, are refusing to give up their home, don't want to obey by the laws of the New World Order, those are the people that are going to be sent to the death camps, is the people who aren't obeying New World Order.
Okay, that makes sense.
I believe something else.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm ready.
So, so some people say these camps are already in existence. This one kind of made me laugh. So people say that some of these camps are actually Walmarts. Abandoned Walmarts.
What?
I know. So basically, like, where the Walmart conspiracy came from is, I guess there was like 6 or 7 Walmarts across the country that like had plumbing issues and had to be shut down, and they never reopened.
Just because of plumbing issues.
Well, people think it's because they're not actually
but the
Walmarts.
official story is.
Yes. So that's why people think. I think the Walmart's one is a little bit of a reach, but you know what?
We're gonna
It
go
is
with
what it is. Walmart. I mean, maybe it is. Walmarts are pretty fucking big. You cut a lot of space to put people in cages, I guess.
Oh my god, I hate that.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Yeah. So another one where people say these camps are already existing is just underpopulated prisons. A building that FEMA has built. There's a bunch of videos about like FEMA buildings. Oh, also, sorry, another funny blog. It wasn't a blog post. It was like, I think it was on Quora, which I discovered. I've never been on Quora before, but it was on Quora. This guy like posted. He's like, what do you guys think about like the FEMA death camps? And this man who dead ass works for FEMA was like going off, and I was like, sir what the fuck? Jesus. I mean, he's like, I've worked for FEMA for 3 years. Before that, I was a firefighter for 20 years. And I was like,
fuck.
Sir, also, I'm so sorry. Your opinion is completely biased.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he was like going off on this like blog post on Quora.
Like, okay, I don't believe you anymore. Also, were you? I
know.
This is Quora. I don't know about that.
I know. And then obviously military bases. That's the other one. But yeah, you can find some videos. A lot of the videos that I found of these like abandoned FEMA buildings, or the FEMA buildings that are empty that they think are going to be these prisons, they're really old. Like they're from like the 90s. And you don't see anything inside. It just looks like a building. So like, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I think the most probable one is underpopulated prisons and military bases, because you're not even fucking allowed on a military base, so you don't fucking know what's in there.
Yeah, truly.
You have no idea what's in there. They're huge.
They are.
So
they're fucked. They're
I think those are the most probable ones if this does exist. So proponents have also recited a contingency plan, which is Rex 84 that we discussed earlier. So this branch of the theory is aimed at left-wing activists, not the libertarians and the right-wingers who are generally associated with the FEMA theory. So this has been linked to a 1970s documents by Louis Guifrida, sure. Lewis. So years later, the director of FEMA was calling for the establishment of martial law in the event of an uprising by African American militants in the internment of millions of African Americans.
Interesting.
Interesting. I don't think. So conspiracy theorists have also used the actual internment of Japanese Americans during World War II, specifically constructed camps in evidence that such a scenario like this has already historically existed. Similarly, because people are saying, well, this would never happen, but something similar to this has already happened. Forced removal of Native Americans from their land.
Interesting. RCMP, is that you? Is that you, RCMP?
Like, so that's where like the people who believe this conspiracy theory are saying like, well, it's not complete, because like a lot of people are saying this is like absolutely like
so
unviable, like so far-fetched, and like no, it's already happened here.
Totally.
So it's not really that far-fetched, and I agree. I don't think it's really that far-fetched.
Yeah. Also, just to give some context. Well, I guess context. I don't know, but just the reason I say RCMP, literally the entire reason why the RCMP was created was to keep First Nations people on the reserves that we decided that they had to live on. That's the only reason the RCMP was created. So. That's why I said that. If you guys are wondering.
Yeah. So in recent, this conspiracy theory has actually gotten so big that FEMA, now remember, they're on the Department of Homeland Security for the fucking government. They addressed it. Yeah. They've gone on record to say that they have no such plan to detain citizens.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what you would say.
Yeah. So FEMA conceded that it could not hope to convince a large number of people that they have no sinister plan. And they cautioned that it's better not to enter into a debate about this subject.
Of course it is. It's easier for them if you aren't talking about it.
So, that's the outline of the conspiracy theory. I'm going to give you my opinion and why I think this conspiracy theory is kind of relevant now.
Yes.
So, I'm sure you can already see where I'm going with this.
Clap, clap. Let's go.
So, we talked about martial law. We talked about when martial law happens during something like a large riot or a terrorist attack. Can you see where I'm going with this? The fucking large riots that are all across the states.
Weird. Almost like we're in the biggest civil rights movement in history.
Does anybody remember like those videos and the claims that like people were just being grabbed and taken into these vans at these riots? No, I shouldn't say riots, at the protests.
I remember this, but for those of us who haven't, what?
That's it.
That's fucking wild.
People were just being like, people are saying that they saw like a van like drive up into these like protests and just grab people and fucking dip.
So like witnesses.
Yep.
Oh shit.
Like people witness people being taken from these protests. Yeah. Obviously we're seeing that clearly local authorities cannot fucking handle what's going on. So because they're not handling it. They're not dealing with it. They're actually making matters worse. So in that instance is when something like this disaster control would be called. And this is, in my opinion, from times that martial law has been called in the past, this is a very fucking prevalent time where martial law could absolutely be called. Yeah. No questions asked by the government. Like, no fucking questions asked. Martial law could 1,001%
and
be
again,
called. And
too,
we've already seen the military's involvement in all this.
Based off of our president, or well, not ours, not my president, based off of the president right now, too. Like, I can see that happening really quickly, really easily. Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Well, and even look what he's already said. He obviously has no remorse or no understanding about why it's happening. Yeah. It's just, this is fucking stupid, and you guys are being ridiculous, and you're
remember when he said
looting.
He's done more for black people in the United States than any other president before him, except for perhaps Abraham Lincoln? Because, like, never fucking forget that.
And also, perhaps was used.
Yeah, he literally,
sentence.
He did, it wasn't even like, except for Abraham Lincoln. It was, except perhaps Abraham Lincoln. It's like, sir?
The fuck?
Are you okay, Donald?
So that's where I feel that I think this conspiracy theory is, if it is real, if it does exist, I think it's terrifying that it could absolutely happen.
Absolutely.
Now, especially right now.
Well,
because a lot of people are not. I don't think the New World Order part of the conspiracy theory is
true.
Is true to me personally. I don't believe it. I just think that, like, in no way could you have one government to rule the whole fucking world.
No way.
There's literally no way.
There's 7 billion people on this planet.
Yeah.
7 billion. More than that now.
Like, obviously the government would be bigger than like a country's government, I'm assuming. But there's no fucking
it would be smaller.
Yeah. There's literally no way. Like, to me, I'm just like, no. No.
It's not very feasible.
Sorry, but no. That's too many people. I mean, look how many people are in the States, and JFK got assassinated. Could you imagine if it was the whole world?
Yeah.
Like,
very
really?
True. Very true.
No, I don't think so. They would be dead within like a week or something. Like,
yeah, it would just be too many constant. People. Unless he had like fucking witchy superpowers.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Look how many people like uprise against their government in other countries already. There's no way that you would be able to have that many people worldwide on your side. I don't think it's viable.
Yeah. One ring to rule them all will stay in fucking Lord of the Rings. It's not happening.
So this is where, like, because I was saying at the beginning about martial law, about how I'm so much more terrified of martial law than I am of this theory. Yeah. But I think that I do think that the FEMA theory kind of goes like hand in hand with martial law. I mean, it's not unheard of to see these, like, I mean, even look at what's happening in China right now. There's like literal concentration camps that are killing
It's Muslim
people.
Yeah.
Then you look at what's happening with ICE, these like detainment centers, like this already isn't unheard of.
Mm-hmm. It's literally happening currently.
It's happening literally right now. Yeah. So I wouldn't put it past the government to actually like, I'm not saying they have this plan and that they're going to do it, but I would not put it past them if this were to happen because of these riots. Like that would not surprise me at all.
Well, and also like, correct me if I'm wrong, but is North Korea not, I don't know if they call it martial law, but is that not martial law?
I don't know. I don't know if that wouldn't that just be considered like a dictatorship though? So that's the other thing where I was kind of confused because I was like, what's the difference? I think because martial law is like something you declare because it's not already a part of your government. Yeah, it's not permanent. It's not something that's already like your government isn't like doing martial law. What do you think? I want to hear your tots on it.
My tots.
Your tots? Give me some fucking tots, Napoleon.
Get your own tots. Okay, so my own tots are that, yeah, honestly, I'm going to agree. I think martial law is very scary. I'm not saying that it can't happen in Canada because we all know that Canada is not, sunshine and roses.
So, sorry.
Like,
it actually can't. We have something else that's not martial law. See? Yeah, we have something else that's similar to martial law, but it's not martial law.
Okay, well, I feel very blessed that we can't. Like, that threat is not something that's hanging over our heads, especially right now in the world that we're living in, where we're in a global pandemic. Our world is on fucking fire, literally on fire. There's this huge civil rights movement. Didn't they put up a clock in New York City where it's like a countdown until climate change is irreversible?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I feel like having that threat, and especially at a time like this where I totally think if it's going to happen, now would be, I don't know if logical is the right word, but now would be the time that I wouldn't be surprised for something like this to happen. And to have that threat, like, additionally hanging over your head in addition to everything else, like, fuck that, man. Like, I would be having constant panic attacks. So yeah, I honestly agree with you. I think that, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. Yeah. Wouldn't be that surprised. You're right. We know that this shit is happening in the day. We know about, the camps in China. And then we even know that it's possible for a government to do something like that to their citizens. Like, again, we established that it's a dictatorship in North Korea, but the government is still doing these things to their citizens. So it's not unheard of. It's not a reach. Is it going to happen right now? I'm not sure. If it does, I won't be surprised. I think that's where I'm at. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I feel like I'm just word vomiting.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Because I'm just like fucking stressed about it right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
I'm really stressed for, I don't know. I don't, it's one of those ones where it's like, I don't really know what to believe because I feel like for me, this theory has so much talk about like government and martial law and new world order and like all these other things that are like, they're facts. Like these, my mind is just completely running a blank.
Well, I think like
the executive orders.
Yeah.
Like executive orders, these exist.
Like,
martial law,
it's not
it
like
exists.
Maybe, wouldn't that be crazy? It's like, no, literally fucking look it up. It's
this
there.
does exist. Yeah. Like it does. So like that part of it, I'm like,
totally.
The new world order part of it, I don't agree with. I don't know if it's specifically, so here's my part of the theory. I don't think it's specifically FEMA. Maybe it is FEMA. I don't know. But to me, at this point, FEMA is on the Department of Homeland Security. FEMA is the government. It is the government. Like it wouldn't matter. It's the government. Period. That's how I feel about it. You work for the government. The government fucking runs you. Okay. Yeah. So for me, it's more. I wouldn't put it past the government to declare martial law in a state of emergency, such as you are having right now. Yeah. And I would not put it past the government to actually have detention centers. Oh, do I think it's FEMA? I mean, maybe. I guess they are the people who would deal with that, so maybe. Okay. But do I think it's FEMA who's, like, running the fucking show? Maybe. I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so.
That makes sense.
I think that FEMA is kind of like the, like, like they're like being like FEMA is the driving force for all of this, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but who does FEMA work for?
Yeah, no.
Homeland Security.
Totally.
So who is that? The government. Like that's how I feel about it. So I don't think it's necessarily FEMA. Do I think they're death camps and that it's for population control? Maybe. I don't think it's for population control. I just think it's for maybe getting rid of people who are doing something the government doesn't want them to do. Yeah. Which is what people are doing right now. But you know what? Yeah, it needs to be done. So
well, that's kind of why I asked earlier about like the population control thing. Like why I asked if it was American citizens or like quote unquote illegal immigrants or illegal aliens, whatever. Because I think that if it were population control, it sure as hell wouldn't be American citizens.
No, I think the population control is the one that's a part of the like New World Order branch of the theory.
Oh, okay.
Where it's population control because the New World Order would be in charge of the whole world.
Yeah.
But then also, that's a lot of, it's just blame just to put on the states. Because you're like, FEMA's going to declare this for New World Order. I'm like, okay, but what about everybody else?
Yeah. Like, there are other countries.
Where are you getting this? Yeah. No. Yeah, so that's the FEMA death camps conspiracy.
Man, that's fucked.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'd also like to hear what you guys don't think. I don't know. Do you think this is legit? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. Honestly, it's so far. I feel like I've like made my own conspiracy out of something else. But I feel like for me, the whole FEMA thing, like it just seems like the conspiracy that martial law could happen is a lot more probable than like FEMA specific. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
This is actually, I feel like a good what's soon to come, because I feel like next season.
Ooh.
Can I say what we're doing next season?
Say it.
So next season, we're going to be covering serial killers. But not your notorious ones, because we're going to save those guys all for a season of their own. But I do feel like the serial killer episodes are going to be longer than the conspiracy theory episodes, personally, because I could talk all fucking day about that shit.
Also, I know we sounded extremely excited there. It's just that's what we find most interesting. Yes. Disclaimer, I don't like serial killers. No. I've gotten some feedback that maybe it sounds like we like them. We don't like them. They're shitty, awful, awful people. And it's awful what they did, but it's just very interesting to me.
It's fascinating to me.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated by it. I don't understand your mind, and I want to know what's inside your head.
And honestly,
therefore, I will dissect everything that you've ever done in your life.
Just be prepared. I think, these episodes are definitely going to be longer than the other one, than these previous ones, because I mean, there's just more concrete facts.
But don't worry, you'll still see us next week for Halloween.
Happy Halloween! Oh my God, guys, we have some fun stuff planned for you. Yeah, so we're not going to tell you what we're going to do, because I think maybe it might be fun for it to be surprise. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we're really excited. Halloween's the best time of the year, and it seems this year as though Halloween has kind of been, I mean, it's been canceled as people aren't going to be trick-or-treating, but we're here, we're ready to make things spooky. We're going to give you the Halloween experience that we're missing this year with this stupid, awful pandemic. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. We're just very, very excited.
Yes, Halloween. For those of you, I don't know if we explained, but it'll be an episode every day.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do.
We're calling it Halloween.
We're gonna try and keep them shorter, but I mean, you know us. Sometimes our mini episodes are like 40 minutes long, and that's just the way she goes.
But you know what? I also feel like it's a good chance for you guys to get to know us.
We're super excited, and we just wanna, well, at least I just wanna say thank you so much, and we really appreciate the support we've gotten.
Yeah, you guys can check us out on Instagram at silenceofthehags. We're on, where's our podcast? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Anchor.
Yeah, so we got lots of places you can listen to us, whatever works for you.
Yes.
We also email us at silenceofthehags@gmail.com.
Send us some requests.
Yeah, if you,
not conspiracy theories though.
No, that's over.
That's over.
Unless you guys really like this season, and then maybe we can revisit later.
It.
Like honestly, whatever you guys are feeling. And stay safe. Take care of yourself in this crazy ass world we're living in right now. Don't feel bad for taking time for yourself.
No, never.
And I mean real time. Don't just take a bath. If you want to take a bath, great. But I mean, like, really take care of yourself. And you know, make sure you're doing good in your heart and your brain. Anywho, yeah, I think that's it for us. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. And we'll see you next, I guess.
Next week.
In 2 days. No, not 2 days. I'm a liar. No, on the 26th. Looking at the wrong part on the form. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week with fuck you. We'll see you guys next week with some fun, spooky Halloween bullshit.
Things.
We're gonna be on our Halloween bullshit, and I can't wait. All right, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.